archivist, y'all. Yeah, it's the archivist. We're catching up with DJ Premier, and he's now with Freddie Foxxx on the Collection Tour.
That's right.
And we're with Bumpy Knuckles on the Collection Tour. And DJ Premier, when you began, who are some of your producing mentors to inspire on being one of the best producers of all time?
In hip hop, it's Marley Marl. He started the Juice Crew back in the early 80s, and it was a change of sound and time of lyrics and beats, and Marley took sampling to a whole new level, along with artists like Mantronics, who also did the same thing, Howie T, Full Force. They were taking sampling to a new stage, Jazzy J. They were just really going to a whole different level. So they're some of my mentors in the game, and outside of hip hop, it would be James Brown, Quincy Jones, George Clinton, people like that, Prince. And you could tell that they totally want to make albums and shape bodies of work, you know what I'm saying? And that's what we represent.
And who is Freddie Foxxx, aka Bumpy Knuckles?
You know why? I'm an MC from New York. Boom Bap Underground MC from New York.
What do you prefer, an MPC or SP1200, and why? And when it went down in the golden era of the 90s?
I like the MPC 60 or any of the MPC machines. I started out on the SP1200, and so I've gotten a little bit of both. My earlier years with SP1200, because that was the flavor of machine that we saw people like Marley and everybody using. It was like whatever we saw them using, even if it was just a picture of them standing next to one. We were like, we want that. He's standing next to it, you know what I'm saying? So same thing applied to how I was. And then my engineer, Eddie Sancho, is the one that actually told me that the way I laid down my tracks, and MPC would more fit how I like my tracks to be, lined up when I put it to tape. So when he showed me that the MPC could do that without it having to go directly to tape, but I could set it up that way, I fell in love with the MPC, and now that's the only thing that I still choose to use when I tap the beats out.
And we're going way back from Long Island, rolling with Paid in Full Posse, 88 style. Any moments you'd like to share? It's Freddie Foxxx, he's here.
Well, that was a time in my life. It was a training course, and I learned a lot from being around Eric B. and Rakim both. But Eric was more of a mentor in the sense that, I was with him when he went to a lot of meetings. I learned about how to manage my business a little bit better. And it was a gradual process, but, they both played a big role in my wanting to MC and go further in the business, definitely.
And Premier, an honor being involved with Ice-T's Art of Rap.
Right.
What other historical pieces of hip-hop culture have you been part of?
Really everything, man, from graffiti to the breaking. I couldn't break dance, but I could pop and lock and just do all the battle dances back in the days. I'll still battle you if you want to, hit the dance floor, you know what I'm saying? And, DJing, I'm an MC as well. Like, I can't really rap well or anything, but I know how to control a crowd, and that's what MCing is. It's not just rhyming. I know how to talk to the people and control the audience until the next person gets on to take over and do a better job or a worse job, So I'm every element of hip-hop to this day, and I live every part of the culture, respect the culture. And that's the reason why we still exist, and 46 years old and going and still moving.
And Bumpy Knuckles, Crazy Like a Fox from 94 to 08. Elaborate on the record, and working with Cool G Rap and DJ Polo, Money in the Bank, the single, and given mentorship from DJ Lord Finesse of DITC and Showbiz on Wanted, Dead or Alive. We'd love to know about the golden era history.
The years when I did Crazy Like a Fox with Flavor Unit it was like, I wanted to bring a dark sound to that album, but it really wasn't really accepted. So what I ended up doing was doing two versions. And, it was just about keeping them happy with what they wanted and also making what I was feeling. So, the influence from the Bronx, outside of KRS-One and Bambaataa and all those guys was Digging in the Crates, and Lord Finesse and Showbiz played a big role in that. It was like, going to school in a sense where every time you get around a certain team, when I was in Jersey, I learned a lot from Naughty by Nature. Naughty by Nature had a structure that was real ill. Like they knew how to break everything down and split it amongst themselves so that there was a balance. And I learned the same thing with being around DITC. I learned the same thing being around, BDP. I learned the same thing being around Paid in Full and all of these different crews that I collaborated with. Presence was strong enough for people to think that I was a part of the crew. The only crew that I was ever really officially a part of outside of Gangstar was Paid in Full. You know, I was down with BDP, still down with BDP, but you know, that's because I had made records with them. But we all became friends. So when you become personal friends with somebody, it's bigger than being down with their crew. You know what I mean? So at one point, it became that with each team, and I was like a student every time. And still to this day, I go around certain people and I'm like a student, because if you're not a student of the game, you can't advance mentally. When you try to do business, you know, you have to know how to advance mentally. So if somebody knows more than you, you should want to be around them. And I learned a lot from being around each team. It was a bunch of guys that I learned from the Grandmaster Caz days and the Cold Crush 4. I studied those guys. I studied the Furious 5 and Funky 4+1 and T La Rock and all those guys. I studied all of them, you know. And to know that those guys were able to know that I said that I studied them is really glorifying what they did, you know. It's a good look.
And for the both of you, it's amazing. The Militia, Gangstar Foundation, history was made, the moment of truth. Let us know about the soldier mentality and what went down.
I mean, everything's been thought out ideas that's really has come from Guru and some of our inner circle that have always pictured what they would like to see Gangstar do to elevate, you know, to the next record wherever we pick up, wherever we leave off. And that's how things like, you know, Freddie Foxxx was an old friend of ours from just respecting the industry. And one day we saw each other and Guru was like, yo, I want to do a record with you. And he was like, let's do it. And he said, well, we're working on our Gangstar album. We want to do a song where it's like me, you, and Big Sugar on some just terrorizing lyrics type of a vibe. And Militia was the name of it. And I just gave him the soundtrack to the music, and we became even closer friends from there. And started touring with the Spoken Grooves tour. In 1998, when Moment of Truth came out with Public Enemy, Cypress Hill, Black Eyed Peas were a brand new group that we had never even heard of then. They were brand new. We also had Maya on the tour. There was Wyatt Clef and Praz were on the tour. Cannabis was on the tour. It was a really, really big you know, summer to ride about. MOP was there. You know, so we had a really good time. And from Gangstar Foundation got their feet wet, learned how to perform live on stage and everything. And from that stage, we just expanded, and the Militia team still remained the new extension of the Gangstar Foundation, which obviously originally was, you know, Big Sugar, Group Home, and J. Willie Damager. And they still are Gangstar Foundation forever.
And for the both of you, amazing, the Militia, Gangstar Foundation, history was made with the moment of truth. It's the soldier mentality, what went down.
The session was kind of like, it was kind of like one of those things where you come in, you get it off. It was like a lot of people used to be in the studio at the time. You know, you could walk into D&D and walk in the room with MOP. Anybody from Digging in the Crates could be in there. Guru could be in there. It's just a bunch of rappers just hanging out in the room that Primo was working. So when the Militia was there, it was Suge and a bunch of guys in there, and that was the record I was chosen to be on. And I wanted to give them 100%. It's a poem. You know, the Militia verse is a poem. I did it tonight in the form of a poem because I wanted people to remember what was said in the rhymes. And I think we get away from that sometimes, that we forget, you know, that people are not sometimes listening to the rhymes. So you have to break the music down and give them the poem, you know, because sometimes when you spit something in simple format like a poem, you give them a chance to understand the words, what you mean by the words, how the words are being laid out, the different ways you use words that are spelled the same that have different meanings. You know what I mean? And to relate those metaphors to the way people feel is the way that was what I was hoping to do with the Militia. And I think I accomplished that.
And Collection, share on the release party, what went down, and the reviewers, they are sleeping. I went to the US to cop your album.
Oh, okay. The album's right here, Foul, the collection. And it's actually not the collection, it's just Collection. But this is one of the best albums to come out this year. It represents the whole element of a good hip hop album, dope beats, dope rhymes, and some scratching, ladies and gentlemen. You know, you get the scratches and cuts, which is essential in a real hip hop album. It's like a rock and roll without a guitar solo. You know, you gotta have some cuts. So there's me, and there's Bumpy.
It's definitely more levels.
Oh, no question. We just shot the video to More Levels. Look out for that. Shot the Cho on the edit from Antidote. He also does all the artwork from my label Year Round Records. He does a lot of our videos and editing, so look out for the Cho. He's out of Paris, France. He does his thing, gets it in. And like I said, we just shot the More Levels video. We just shot the Bad video, which is out now. With just me and Bumpy having fun against a white screen, just Just doing vintage old performance videos like it used to be back in the day and acting silly. And we actually got 27,000 views in 2 days, which actually was surprising to me because some of the comments were like, "Oh man, it's so basic," and it's like, "Yo, y'all are not even probably weren't even born when MTV even started, so yeah, you don't even know what videos looked like back then." That's kind of like a run of it, and we're just bugging out and just having fun with it. We're also shooting the Gangstar bus, which is going to be an L video. We're also shooting I Never Put My Focus Away. We're shooting The Key. We're shooting Shake the Room with Flavor Flav. We're going to do a rock version where we're looking to do some things. I'd love to get Slash, Guns N' Roses on there, which would be nice. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, just staying active and like, shooting all these videos and just keeping the album just rolling.
And let's go into it with Connection and the Street Triumph mixtape, working with Jesse West, John Cena, Lyrical Workout, Static Selecta, royalty check with KRS-One. Mm-hmm. Incredible.
Yeah, those albums, you know, it's really what I've been doing is building my catalog where when I'm wanting people to have more of what I do, you know, I used to be kind of private with my music where I didn't put out so much music at a time, but then as the game became more of an independent marketplace, I felt like in order to keep my name anywhere in anybody's mind, I got to give people more music. And some of it, it's not about always, making them money all the time. Sometimes it's about, just letting people know that I'm still out there. I do have that mentality. I know I did We Are at War and all that, but it has to be a balance. And if there's not a balance, then what you lose is you end up losing people's, that people believe in you. You know what I'm saying? You end up losing that.
Much love, brother.
Thank you for your support, man. Thank you, brother.
Sorry.
I hope y'all enjoyed it, man.
We did. Man.
He's having interviews. Our relationship is full.
One more question, man.
And future projects with PR versus Premier, Return of the Boom Bit with KRS.
Yep.
We got the new MOP record, and Nas, you're holding it down.
Yes, we're very busy. NYG's album is finally coming out this year. It's called Hustlers Union Local NYG. It's on my label Year Round Records. It will be a fully Premier produced album. And then also I have Teflon from MOP's coming out with his album through my Works from Mark Productions. It's called Contraband. Also MC8 of Compton's Most Wanted. I'm executive producing the album with him that he does, producer that he discovered named Brink Sinatra. So you'll be hearing about him. I did 3 songs for that, and I'm just mixing the album down right now. And Brink Sinatra is another beat maker that you're gonna definitely hear a lot from. Very unique style. He got a dope sound. So look out for that.
And the collection. Tell us about the album. It's very incredible. And like I told you, I had to cop it, and I went all the way to the U.S. from Bumpy Knuckles and Premier. We're on those more levels.
The collection is to this day one of my favorite projects because I got a chance to finally do something that I always wanted to do, which was a whole entire album with DJ Premier. And also, I had a lot to say, especially in respects to, just my last, when I say I want to let you know what I've been through the last 20 years, change amongst hip hop peers. I got eyes, I got ears. I ain't dumb. Where I'm from, loyalty is rare. I talk a lot about loyalty and people not being true to what they commit to and stuff like that, because that's where my mindset was, and some of the people around me, has started showing me things that I was surprised to see. So I wanted to start undressing those snakes and exposing them, for what they were. But I do a lot through my music because it keeps me from doing things, a different way. I learned how to use my music as an outlet for real. Like, that's when you become special. When you learn how to use your words over somebody else's music as an outlet. And that outlet has to be utilized so that people can learn from it, so that people can say, wow, like, I want people to go back to saying, wow, you heard what he said? You know what I'm saying? You heard what he said when in Focus Away? You heard what he said in We Are at War? You heard what he said in Own It? You know what I mean? Did you hear what he said in Fake? Did you hear what he said in Studio Time? Because all of us, those titles, you can relate to those titles, and a lot of those singers singing anthems and like singy kind of hooks. We want to hear that primo shit because people want to hear that.
Flowing with the Vets.
Yeah, Flowing with the Vets is royalty check.
Yep.
You kind of left field with your shit, but Flowing with the Vets is royalty check. But Collection,
I know that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and Flowing with the Vets was a joint that I wanted to pay homage to a lot of the classic MCs that I studied. So I've been using that MC style again, and doing the rock to the beat, y'all, and don't stop type of MCing. because that's what I learned from, and I don't ever want to detach myself from it, because it's all keeping the timing for me. You know what I mean? It's keeping the rhythm, it's keeping the timing.
And Premier, some of your best projects you've made and why.
Group home album, I'm proud of that because it was a big process to get that out. They're not certified MCs that set out to rhyme. They were kids in the street that we grew to love and took under our wing, and we ran around with each other for a nice little period of time of our career and our life. And they developed from being around us, how to make a record, and the process and the outcome went hand in hand. The pushing and pulling on every side of that within our family, we got it done, and a lot of people hail that as one of the best hip hop albums ever. So I'm proud of that and what we accomplished. I'm proud of the Sunrises in the East with the Damager. But that was really my first outside all-produced Premier album outside of Gangstar. It was good to put the energy into that. Yeah, J. Rue, big up, man. What's up? So we remain active, man. Those are two albums I'm really proud of, and I'm proud of the Moment of Truth album because a lot was going on in me and Guru's life at that time, and we still got that album accomplished, and the energy is there, you know what I'm saying? So, good thing.
And the best hip hop memory you've been part of or contributed to?
Everything. My whole experience. You can't rush the experience. My whole experience from the beginning to now has been the best thing I could have ever done. If I had to choose another life, I wouldn't. I keep what I've done because that was my mission. I was set out to do, and I was happy to do it.
And the best tour and largest crowd you've ever rocked?
I don't know. Every crowd I rock is large, whether it's 5 or 5,000. I don't isolate people like that. You know what I mean? Because when you isolate your audience, you don't have an audience. You know what I mean?
And you got any shouts?
Shouts to my son Jalen. How you doing, man? I love you, buddy. He just turned 1 year old, and shout to my whole family. You know who you are: mom, pops, sisters, nephews, nieces, the whole 9 yards. And shout to hip hop culture. Shout to my man Bumpy Nux. That's him. I'm the ugly one. And let's get it in and get busy, man, with the collection tour. On and popping, beats, rhymes, and scratching, and a lot of energy for your money and for your buck. We do not play around. That's why I'm calm now. I'll be crazy tonight. One love.
And you have any shouts?
Shout out to everybody who loves what I do, everybody who supports what I do. Follow me on Twitter at Bumpy Knuckles. Watch me on Corrupt Mob Radio on Ustream. You know what I mean? Support the collection, buy the album, go to Real DJ Premier at Twitter and follow DJ Premier's blog. And I want you to just support everything we're doing. We got Collection 2 coming out. Me and OC got an album coming out together. We got a lot of good projects in the future, so don't forget to cop all of that. Shout out to everybody, everywhere, hip hop around the world forever. Salute.
And shouts to Fat Gary and DJ Premier, and this is the Archivist, and you already know the name, y'all.
There you know. That's a there you know. Yeah, you know, and there you go. There you know, there you go. That's a new one. There you know, there you go. DJ Premier signing off. One love. Shout to Fat Gary. Shout to the Headquarters Studios. Rest in peace, Headquarters. Rest in peace, Guru. Gangstar forever. Look out for Gangstar Enterprises. We will be dropping the Gangstar Enterprises store along with Guru's family, the Elam's, and also his son and his mother, and myself and his nephew Justin. We will be coming out with the official Gangstar store with real official merchandise of all types, from clothes to DVDs to music, the right way and the positive way, and make sure that the family eats the way that Guru's legacy would have been left behind the right way. We're here to do positive services for positive people. If you're negative, get out the way, because we will push you out the way if you come at us.
And shouts to Perry and Donnelly Group, and this is the Archivist. You already know the name, y'all. All right.
And shouts to Donnelly Group and Good Friday Entertainment.
Yeah, shout to Donnelly Group, Good Friday Entertainment for bringing us out here to do what we do. Shout to Vancouver, and shout to all the venues that book our shows and let us come in there and tear it up without tearing it up. You know what I mean? One love.